Yo, what is good? My anniversary. What is good, yo? Guys, it has happened, and now that we are here, it feels a lot like the show is really just telling us, screw you guys, we're keeping our mysteries to ourselves. Like, this whole entire episode was pretty cool. Got some weird information about some past stuff, but none of it really sparks anything in the case of like answers, you know? The one answer that we really got is how the relationship between Kariman and Nikaido were actually going to play out. How are they going to handle knowing each other the way that they know each other now, including with Nikaido in a position where all it takes is her to see somebody and her overall contract that's inside of her that's been removed will practically grow back. So they're pretty much playing the ultimate game of hide and seek, and Nikaido is the hider because if she's spotted, who knows what's going to actually happen, including for not just for her, but the person who's taking her spot and just playing along, seeing how he's always dreamed to be in that position that he's in now, being Indra's favorite, and, you know, pretty much just having all the time, excuse me, having the time of his life because he is someone that Indra thinks is important to him. So I can only imagine how long that's gonna last, and he's gonna catch on to her just acting out of character, not acting so much like a zombie, but more or less acting like someone who wants to be around him, who enjoys to be around him. And he'll probably figure it out sooner than later. Plus, they didn't really say the devil that changed him into this. The one thing he said to him was he used like all of his power to do this transformation, all the way down from changing a guy into a female and then giving him the exact same voice as the person. So I can understand that that would take a ridiculous amount of power. Not to mention, uh, it's a bad look on him. Like now that he's done this, he's already been called in by the guy responsible for contracts, but him just doing what he wants to do feels like he's going to be in trouble sooner than later, and it's obvious just by the way he's carrying along and helping people that are now in, not, I was going to say indebted, but at least have contact with the devil that he doesn't really have any say over. So, or he does and he just doesn't see it that way. I don't know. The devils are still the one of the most mysterious things of the whole entire show, which they kept it them ominous for a reason. Even after opening the door to help, Kariman was really the only one who's like, "What do you want? Who are you? You know, like, why are you helping us like this? What do you know, like, he's asking all the right question, and it feels like Nikaido just has a decent understanding of this guy, of this devil, so she trusts everything that he does for her because clearly he's in a position where he's only wanted to help and not anything else, so she has no reason to doubt him, while on the other hand, Kaniman's just like, who the heck? But the little scuffle between them was pretty cool and led to practically nothing besides Kaniman getting absolutely destroyed for not really fighting back. And the one time he does fight back, I don't think he felt too good about punching her that hard and making her bleed. So it kind of goes to show you why um, every time he was in a position to be losing, he was always just trying to call out to her, get her attention. But all of a sudden, the one thing that triggered her to be this way and to fight him was just because he called, Indra an enemy, or like that he was gonna take him out. So it's that type of stuff that if the contract came back, it would be uh, probably the same scenario, right? Like she would have no choice but to fight the enemies of my master's enemy, so, or my partner's enemies, which is all fine and dandy, but like I said, it's just so like, there's nothing in this episode besides the fact that we learn who's inside of his mouth and that the girl that we've been traveling with isn't the person he's looking for, which is good. But the person who is the most likely to pop up now and kind of seems to be tied to the story more than we actually have learned is the dude who was floating in the past who beat up Indra and all of his bodyguards, but he still wound up like taking dude's head, but that didn't even take him out. So we saw some glimpses of what could have been done to Kariman to get him in this position and to lose his head and have this one put on or whatever. We kind of have a sight at that, like, look like a big experiment thing going on in a dark place where he just opened the door to and went. Maybe that guy that they were fighting that night was a devil. I don't know. And of course, even the show knows that we don't know because they're like, oh, we learned that Nikaido gave Kariman his name. And we also learned, like, so one other thing, and then he's like, but everything is still a mystery, and that is, and then it says the show's name. It's like, oh, great. So you guys 1010% wanted everything to end as a mystery, and you did a good job of it, because I am 100% looking forward for them to actually solve it and actually give us more answers, because sure, we got some and we seen some, but they're none of them are necessarily out in the open. Like, we know, for instance, there's two versions of the guy who's inside of the alligator's mouth. There's him in there, and then supposedly there's one guy walking around still actually looking and trying to figure out stuff. So, as a whole, this is a weird season finale, but I kind of expected that from the show that started off weird and ended weird. I'm just surprised they could keep that type of pace up. Ever since this episode came out raw with no subtitles, I had saw someone say something about a season 2, or like the director talking about a season 2 maybe. So we'll see if they drop it sooner than later. We know that they're associated with Netflix, so if Netflix really wants, they can hold the anime for as long as they want from coming out. In the case of, they got the dub, the Spanish version, and all that stuff probably coming out relatively soon. And that's just what they do with Seven Deadly Sins, right? Like, Seven Deadly Sins is pretty much done, or has like an episode or something. But on Netflix, it's not even there. Like, it's not dubbed, it's not subbed. And that's always been my problem with Netflix, is they wait for so long after something that they have somewhat control of is already out and done with. Some people just want to see it dubbed or translated in a language they like to listen to, so Netflix owns all that power. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will definitely talk to you sooner than later if something pops up, like some new animes and stuff like that. If not, I will be dropping probably Seven Seeds finale later today, because stuff might be popping off tomorrow for me to work and stuff. So I think it would be best to drop Seven Seeds sometime tonight. So with all that being said, everybody, take care and have an awesome one. Peace.